Barefoot and broken, how a billionaire's unexpected act of kindness transformed her life forever. Jane peered through the cracked window of her apartment, watching the sun dip below the skyline of Chicago. It was another long day, another struggle to make ends meet. As a single mother of two, she often felt like she was juggling fireballs, the threat of eviction always lurking in the shadows. Mia and Danny kept her grounded, their laughter a bright light in the dim corners of their crumbling home. She pulled them close, wrapping them in love as thick as the city smog. Little did she know, fate was about to intervene in a way she could never imagine. One evening, she found herself at a charity event, a world away from the noise of sirens and the peeling walls of her apartment. As she served drinks, the glitz and glamour buzzed around her like a whirlwind. But amid the sparkle, Jane stood out. Her laughter, warm and genuine, rang clear, catching the eye of a solitary figure in the back corner, Michael, a reclusive billionaire. He had heard whispers of her resilience, and now, watching her, he felt a tug at his heart. Here was a woman, barefoot and broken, yet her spirit soared high above. "Excuse me," a gentle voice broke her trance. Jane looked up to find Michael standing near her, his frame tall and imposing, but his eyes suspected of kindness. He introduced himself and complimented her laughter. The moment sent shivers down her spine. It felt like someone saw her for the first time. As they spoke, Jane confessed her struggles. She expected pity. Instead, she saw something else in his eyes, admiration. "Why don't we explore opportunities together?" he suggested. Those words transformed her heaviness into a swirling hope as he offered her a position at his foundation, focused on nurturing entrepreneurs, a chance to not just survive, but thrive. She felt like a dam bursting, a flood of possibility washing over her. But as quickly as her heart lifted, the tide of skepticism rolled in. The whispers began, both in her new workplace and her neighborhood. Did she really deserve this position with a billionaire? People questioned her worth, wondering if privilege had paved her path. The weight of judgment bore down hard. Jane began to doubt her own achievements. The love and resilience she had cultivated now felt fragile, like glass on the brink of shattering. In that dark moment, she could feel the tightening of her chest, that familiar sensation of impending failure clawing at her resolve. Just then, the truth hit her like a thunderbolt. Michael's identity, the billionaire status, had shifted the conversation about her. As her neighbors rallied around her, the heat of collective scrutiny sparked confusion and anger. Could she prove that her hard work mattered, that she earned her seat at the table? Would her children see her fight as one worth fighting? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening.
YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Standing at the precipice of change, Jane stared out at the streets that had raised her. Dignity wasn't defined by wealth. She knew that deep down. But was it enough to weather this storm? She thought of Mia and Danny's bright faces, the future she so desperately wanted for them. Would her actions speak louder than the whispers? Could her rise ignite hope and offer solace, not just for her, but for an entire community? In that moment, she realized that every step felt both heavy and liberating. An illuminating journey was about to unfold, with the promise of justice hanging in the balance. The story wasn't over yet. No, it was just the beginning. The next morning, Jane's alarm buzzed with the urgency of 1,000,000 responsibilities packed into one day. She rubbed the sleep from her eyes and gazed at her reflection in the cracked mirror. The woman staring back looked tired, but there was also a spark buried in the depths of those tired eyes. She had decisions to make, steps to take, and it wouldn't be easy, but somewhere, hope had woven itself into her heart. As she dropped her kids off at school, their little hands clutched tightly in hers, Jane felt a chill in the air that wasn't just about the impending winter. It was a chill of uncertainty, of facing the world outside their closest comfort. "Stay strong, Mom," Danny called out, flashing her a grin that melted her worries, if only for a second. Mia nodded, her own face blooming with confidence. They believed in her. Somehow, that was all Jane needed. Arriving at the foundation, Jane was engulfed by the values plastered across the walls. Words like empower, inspire, and transform didn't just decorate the room, they vibrated with potential. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The luxurious surroundings contrasted sharply with her own life. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like shimmering dreams, illuminating the faces of the elite gathered here. And there was Michael, leaning against a plush couch, his presence commanding and warm at the same time. "Morning, Jane. I'm glad you're here," he said, his gaze steady. It felt like he believed in her more than she did herself. They started the day's briefing, and as they discussed plans for the upcoming entrepreneur workshops, Jane's heart began to race. Every idea she pitched was met with nods of approval. She found her voice, loud and proud, cutting through the fog of doubt. The whispers slowly dimmed, replaced by the sounds of excitement and eager collaboration.
But as the day unfolded, whispers shifted into echoes. Already she could feel the tension brewing in the air. Some glaring eyes watched her with skepticism. Did she really earn this? They seemed to ask, their harsh glances weighing heavy on her. Each compliment from Michael felt like a spotlight, tainted with the shadows of judgment from her peers. She clenched her fists, determination bubbling below the surface. When she returned home that evening, she faced Mia and Danny, their innocent smiles lighting up the room. But as she tucked them into bed, she began to cry. The weight of her new life felt like an oversized coat she couldn't quite shake off. "What if I fail?" she whispered to herself, her heart racing. "What if they're right about me?" But then she remembered Michael's praise. "You didn't just get here, you belong here." Those words echoed through her mind like a mantra, giving her strength. She wiped her tears and made a promise to stand tall. The next day, she arrived at the foundation resolved. Today, she wouldn't shrink under the weight of suspicion. She poured her heart into planning a community outreach program. It would provide resources for small businesses in her neighborhood, a chance for them to rise, just like her. The thought ignited a fire within her, spinning the doubts into energy. As she worked late into the night, the phone rang. It was Michael. "Hey, I heard about your idea for the outreach program," he said. "Are you ready to make it happen?" With conviction she didn't think she possessed, Jane replied boldly, "Yes." The excitement bubbled within her, but so did the fear. Could she really do this? And what if failure came knocking? "I'll help you every step of the way," Michael assured her. As they hung up, she stared out at the city, a mixture of hope and trepidation brewing inside. This was her moment, but taking that leap felt as dizzying as standing on the edge of a cliff. Jane knew she had to leap, but would she soar or fall? Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed through her apartment. Heart pounding, she opened the door to find a gesture that could change everything, a letter from her landlord. Her stomach flipped as she tore it open, desperate for good news. What was about to unfold might shatter her world, or finally piece it back together. Jane glanced down at the envelope, her hands trembling. The return address seemed ominous, the ink smudged slightly. With a deep breath, she ripped it open, half expecting something terrifying. As her eyes scanned the page, her heart raced, caught in a chaotic dance of hope and fear. "Dear Miss Roberts, this letter is to inform you that your rent will be reduced for the next 6 months due to recent financial hardships. We understand these are trying times." She staggered back, sinking into the doorframe for support. Relief flooded her. For the first time in weeks, the weight pressing on her chest began to lift. This wasn't just a budget cut, it was a lifeline.
She could breathe again, just a little easier tonight. And yet, joy mixed with uncertainty. What did this mean for her landlord, Mr. Langston? The soft-spoken man always seemed to embody generosity in a world that felt cold. But he too had been hit hard by the pandemic. Could she even accept this help without guilt creeping in? She pondered on his sacrifices, and just like that, she felt the old fears bubble back up. What if this was just a temporary fix? What if she couldn't pull off the outreach program? Shaking herself from spiraling thoughts, she found a renewed sense of motivation. If this program was to succeed, she needed to be fiercely committed. The next morning, she gathered her notes and headed back to the foundation. Armed with her landlord's letter, she approached Michael. "Michael, I received some good news. My rent has been reduced," she explained, her voice a mix of elation and vulnerability. "But I don't want to rely on luck. I want this outreach to work." He raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Good news indeed. But tell me, what's your plan?" Their brainstorming session ignited a spark of creativity. Ideas flowed, bouncing between them like a game of catch. But it was when Jane mentioned creating a mentorship program connecting local entrepreneurs with established business leaders that she saw Michael's eyes widen. "Jane, that's brilliant," he leaned forward, eager. "We can get the community behind this. We can really make an impact." Each suggestion from Michael etched deeper lines of conviction in Jane's heart. As the groundwork shaped up,
Jane spent countless hours crafting promotional materials and connecting with potential collaborators. Energy flowed through her veins, filling the gaping trust holes in her life. Yet the whispers at the foundation remained ever present, reminding her that not everyone would embrace her initiative. Doubt would creep in late at night, but as she tucked her kids into bed, their unwavering belief fueled her fight. "Mom, you can do this," Mia said one night, holding her tiny mother's hand. "You're amazing." Those words echoed in her head, like gentle reminders that she wasn't doing this just for herself. She was breaking boundaries, creating pathways for a future that didn't just involve her family, but entire communities. Through this whirlwind of hope and fear, reality struck her again. Jane had an idea that needed solid backing, and she needed to defend it. She realized the community outreach was her chance to be part of something bigger, to carve a space for those who felt just as lost as she once did. In the midst of late nights and growing aspirations, she received a call that could change everything once more. It was her landlord, and he wanted to meet. Her heart raced. Why would he want to see her? Was she even ready for whatever news he had?
With a sudden realization that this could lead down either a dark path or another light-filled opportunity, Jane prepared to step into the unknown. Whatever he had to share might hold the key to a new chapter in her life, a new door waiting to be unlocked. But would it lead to success or disaster? Jane's pulse quickened as she entered the small cafe where Mr. Langston had asked to meet. The familiar scent of coffee wrapped around her, mixing with anxiety. She spotted him sitting in a corner, his hands wrapped around a steaming mug, a worn leather briefcase at his side. He looked up and smiled, but it didn't reach his worried eyes. "Thank you for coming, Jane," he said softly, motioning for her to sit. "Mr. Langston, I appreciate you wanting to meet. I hope everything's okay," she replied, concern creeping into her voice. The last thing she wanted was to further burden him. He nodded, taking a deep breath. "I know your situation, and I want you to understand that I'm here to help." His words struck her like a lightning bolt. Her heart ached at the thought of putting him in a difficult spot. "I don't want to take advantage of your generosity," she said. The rent reduction was already unexpected. "It's not about that," he said, leaning forward earnestly. "I've seen the work you're doing at the foundation. It's inspiring, truly. You have a vision that can change lives, and I believe we can do something together." Jane felt a rush of emotions. Help from Mr. Langston could mean not just a safety net for her, but a chance to empower others. She swallowed her hopes and asked, "What are you suggesting?" He opened his briefcase and pulled out a series of documents. "I've been working on a new initiative to support local entrepreneurs, something that aligns perfectly with your mentorship program, but I need someone to lead it. I want you to be that someone." Her breath caught in her throat. "You want me to lead your initiative? But I'm just trying to get my own outreach off the ground." "Precisely," he said, his voice steady. "You understand the community needs. You're not just a dreamer, you're doing the work. This collaboration could lift both our missions." Jane's mind raced. It was a monumental opportunity, but the fear of failure loomed large. "But what if I can't handle it? What if I let people down?" "Then you learn," Mr. Langston replied gently, "and you try again. That's part of growth. Just think about the impact this could have." The weight of his words settled over her. Jane pictured Mia, her innocent belief in her mother's potential, and the community waiting for change. I will think about it," she managed, though her heart already sang with possibility. As they continued to talk, Jane felt a blossoming excitement mixing with her trepidation. They mapped out ideas, merging the mentorship program with Mr. Langston's resources. The cafe's atmosphere faded away, and all that mattered was the vision they were building. When they wrapped up, Jane's mind swirled with hope. Walking out into the bustling street, she felt a warm glow spreading through her chest. This could be the moment that changed everything. But as she walked home, it gnawed at her. Was she truly ready for such a responsibility? And what if this venture became one more weight on her shoulders instead of the lifeline she dreamed it would be? That night, as Jane tucked her children into bed, she couldn't shake off the unease. Would Mr. Langston's faith in her turn into something wonderful, or would it turn out to be yet another dead end? And in her heart, she wondered if she was ready to leap into the unknown. As doubts crowded in, she made a silent vow to herself. She would explore every option. But now she faced a choice that would define her journey. What would she decide by morning?
Would she step into this new chapter with courage, or let fear dictate her path? The morning sunlight filtered through Jane's kitchen window, casting a warm glow over the breakfast table. Pancakes sizzled on the stove as she moved about, preparing breakfast for Mia and Ben. Yet amidst the comforting rituals of parenting, her mind remained trapped in yesterday's decisions. Mia bounded into the room, her pigtails bouncing. "Mom, are we going to the park today?" she chirped, her face bright with anticipation. "Maybe later, sweetie. I just need to finish this," Jane replied, forcing a smile. She flipped a pancake, but her thoughts were miles away, still wrestling with Mr. Langston's offer. Could she really lead an initiative? What if she failed? The weight of the unknown pressed down heavily on her shoulders. Ben shuffled in next, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "You look worried, Mom," he said, taking a seat at the table. "What's going on?" Hesitation gripped her heart. Should she burden her children with adult worries? "Nothing I can't handle, buddy," she said, reaching out to tussle his hair. But even as she spoke the words, she felt their hollowness. After breakfast, she dropped the kids off at school, their excited chatter filling the car. But as Jane drove away, silence enveloped her. A part of her wanted to return to the cafe, to demand clarity on whether she was up to the challenge Mr. Langston proposed. What if joining forces meant genuinely making a difference? That thought flickered in her mind, sparking a tiny flame of hope. Maybe this was her chance to build the life she envisioned for her family, not just for them, but for everyone in their community. The more she considered it, the more it felt like a calling. But doubt was a stubborn creature, and it clung to her thoughts like a shadow. What if she stepped up and she wasn't good enough? What if she let others down, and worse, let her kids down? As she parked and walked into her workplace at the foundation, the usual bustling energy enveloped her. Volunteers were setting up tables while others were sorting supplies.
Jane noticed a couple of her colleagues laughing together. An easy camaraderie she longed to join, but felt hesitant. "Hey, Jane," Sarah called, waving her over. "We're planning a community event next month. You should help lead it." Jane offered a small smile, her heart racing. "I might have too much on my plate right now," she replied cautiously. "Come on, you're one of our best," Sarah exclaimed, light-hearted teasing in her tone. But all Jane could think about was the mounting weight of expectations. That day dragged on, as Jane assisted where she could, but between requests for help, she drifted into daydreams of what leading Mr. Langston's initiative could look like, the impact they could have together, the lives they could transform. Yet each time she imagined it, a voice whispered, "What if you fail?" After work, Jane visited the local park, searching for clarity at the place where Mia's laughter used to echo with innocence. She watched children play, parents chatting, a community thriving. What if she could help more people feel this joy? Would that make it all worth the risk? As she turned to leave, her phone buzzed. It was Mr. Langston, and just seeing his name sent a jolt through her. "I'd love to hear your thoughts on the initiative when you're ready," he texted. Jane's heart raced. Ready? She felt so far from the answer. Yet at that moment, a flicker of determination ignited in her. Maybe it was time to confront her fears instead of hiding from them. With a deep breath, she made her choice. She would meet with Mr. Langston again. But she also knew that this was just the beginning of a much larger journey. As she walked to her car, a mix of fear and excitement swirled within her. Could this really be her moment? And more importantly, would she dare to embrace it? Her heart pounded as she considered what to say when they met again. She needed clarity, a plan. But with every step, the question lingered. Was she truly ready to step into the unknown? Tonight, she would write everything down. By morning, she would take a leap, or distract herself with doubt once more. What awaited her next? The answers loomed, just out of reach. The sun set behind the trees, casting long shadows that danced across Jane's living room. She sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by notebooks and scattered papers, struggling to organize her jumbled thoughts. Thoughts of Mr. Langston's proposal mixed with her dreams of a better community. Pulling in a shaky breath, she digged up a pen. The blank page stared back at her like a mirror reflecting her uncertainties. "What if I fail?" she mused aloud, a whisper of doubt rattling like the clinking of glass. With each passing moment, the fear of failure coiled tighter around her, but so did her hope. This could change everything, she reminded herself. She set the pen to the page and began writing, pouring out her ideas, her fears, everything that bubbled in her heart. Minutes turned into hours. Ideas flowed freely, and for the first time that day, Jane felt light, a hint of possibility lifting her spirit. She wrote about local initiatives, workshops, ways to bring families together, and support for those in need. Each sentence ignited warmth within her, the thought of creating a ripple effect of kindness blooming in her mind.
Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, breaking her focus. It was a message from Mia. "Mom, can we go get ice cream after school tomorrow?" A smile spread across Jane's face. Mia's exuberance was contagious, and in her daughter's spontaneous joy, Jane found a reminder of what she was fighting for. She quickly typed back, "Absolutely, it's a date." The thought of ice cream made her heart flutter, but also propelled her thoughts back to her meeting with Mr. Langston. What would she say? How could she convey all the passion that was building inside her? The next morning, Jane awoke with a newfound sense of purpose. The meeting loomed ahead, excited nerves dancing in her stomach. As she got ready, she practiced. "I want to empower our community. I believe we can build something lasting together." The words felt both strong and wavering, much like her resolve. Before heading to work, she made a quick stop at the park, hoping to recapture the essence of what she wanted to pour into her initiative. The bright colors of the playground and the chorus of laughter surrounded her, wrapping her in warmth and community spirit. This was what she wanted to nurture and grow, the happiness echoing through the trees, whispering dreams of unity. Later at the foundation, her colleagues were buzzing about the upcoming event, yet Jane felt a little out of sync. They were all lighthearted, joking about logistics, while her mind was consumed with excitement and trepidation. "Hey Jane, you okay?" Sarah asked, her brow raised as she noticed Jane's distracted demeanor. "Yeah, I'm just thinking," Jane replied, forcing a grin, "about the community event." "Thinking in that deep way you do? Or are you just trying to avoid that dance-off you owe us?" Sarah laughed, but Jane's smile faltered slightly. She was ready for more than just a dance-off. She was ready to step into the ring, no matter how intimidating. With a quick squeeze of Sarah's shoulder, she turned towards the meeting room, her heart racing. Mr. Langston was already there, looking poised and expectant. "I'm glad you're here," he said warmly, motioning for her to sit. "I really want to hear your thoughts." Her breath caught in her throat. What if he saw the uncertainty she was trying so hard to suppress? But she quickly reminded herself of the laughter echoing in the park, the dreams spilling onto the page. Gathering her courage, she met his gaze. "Thank you for the opportunity," she began, her voice steadying. As she shared her vision, she felt the weight of doubt lifting.
The fear didn't vanish, but something more profound rose to fill its place, a sense of belonging, a shared purpose. Little did she know what this choice might ignite in her life and those around her. Could this moment lead to the change she so desperately hoped for? As their conversation flowed, Jane caught a glimpse of what lay ahead, a road marked by challenge, but also one of profound transformation. She left the meeting with a new mission in her heart, open and willing to embrace whatever came next. But deep inside, she still wondered, was she truly ready for the journey that was just beginning? Jane stepped out of the meeting room, a mix of elation and disbelief swirling in her chest. The weight of Mr. Langston's encouragement sat heavy in her mind. Sometimes all it took was affirmation from one person to ignite the fire in another. She still couldn't shake the worry. What if she couldn't live up to his expectations? "Great job, Jane," Sarah called out as she caught up with her, slipping her arm around Jane's shoulder. "You were amazing in there, like a real leader." The warmth of Sarah's praise sparked a glow in Jane's heart, but a spark was all it felt like. Could she really command this new role? A voice in the back of her mind challenged her, and it wasn't one to take lightly. It told her she was just a mother, a simple woman from a small town. What did she know about leading a community initiative? She smiled at Sarah, suppressing the squirming doubts. "Thanks. I just have a lot of ideas." "Exactly. Ideas that can change lives. You need to shout them from the rooftops, and I'll be down here cheering you on," Sarah exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. As Jane walked back to her desk, each step felt lighter. Perhaps this was the shift she needed, the anchor to transform her vision into reality. But as she settled into her chair, her thoughts drifted to the bittersweet reality of her home life. Could she balance this burgeoning passion with being a mother? The image of Mia's ice cream request floated back into her mind like a buoy in choppy waters. After work, they drove to the ice cream shop, laughter bursting from Mia as she animatedly recounted tales from school. Jane's heart warmed by her daughter's infectious joy. Watching Mia ordering with such excitement reminded her exactly why she was pursuing this path, to create a better world for her. But as they sat in the small wooden booth, spooning scoops of mint chocolate chip, Jane's mind began to race again. What if your friends don't want to play with you anymore? What if I choose the wrong direction for our community? She asked quietly, almost to herself. Huh? Mia replied, a curious look on her face. Everyone loves ice cream. They'll always want to come back. Plus you can make fun things happen, like this. She grinned, gesturing wildly with her ice cream-laden spoon. Jane chuckled softly, sensing a truth in her daughter's innocent view. Maybe community, like ice cream, was about the simple joys and the willingness to share those moments together. When they got home, Jane felt a sense of determination settling into her bones. She picked up her notebook again, her pen gliding across the page. Ideas cascaded like a waterfall. Youth mentorships, community sports days, holiday gatherings. Every concept brought a fresh wave of excitement crashing over her. But just as the atmosphere felt uplifting, her phone buzzed, pulling her attention away. It was a notification from the local news site. Billionaire'S generous donation reshapes local initiatives. Jane's heart raced. Mr. Langston's name sparked across the screen, accompanied by a list of all the projects he was supporting. She clicked on the article, her stomach sinking as it detailed various programs, some of the same initiatives she had proposed. Had her ideas already been adopted? Doubt flooded back in, tighter than before. What if she was too late? The moment of inspiration that had alighted within her now seemed fragile and fraught with competition. Jane set the phone down harshly, a mix of frustration and fear enveloping her heart. "Mom?" Mia's gentle voice beckoned her back. Jane glanced up to see her daughter's innocent blue eyes watching her, reflecting an unmistakable faith and love. Amid the chaos of her swirling thoughts, something deeper began to stir within her. Jane was more than her struggles. She was a bridge between dreams and realities, for herself and for the community she envisioned. It wasn't just about the ideas, it was about the spirit behind them. But as she pondered that realization, she couldn't help but wonder, could she rise to the occasion when it truly mattered? Or would she falter just when she thought she had found her footing? When morning light seeped through the curtains, Jane felt an odd mix of hope and anxiety. The news had unsettled her, but there was an undeniable urge to fight back. She needed to believe, to rally her fears into something actionable. As she sipped her coffee, the weight of her responsibilities surrounded her, yet a new fire flickered within. "Mia, do you want to help me with a project today?" Jane called out, summoning her daughter who was still curled up on the couch, the sleepy remnants of childhood still clinging to her. "Yes!" Mia exclaimed, her enthusiasm bubbling over. She hopped off the couch, her hair bouncing in wild curls. "What are we doing?" Jane paused, excitement blending with nerves. "We're going to make a vision board. To map out our dreams for our community." Mia's eyes sparkled. "Can I draw ice cream on it?" Laughter bubbled up from Jane's heart, easing some of the tension. "Absolutely. We can put everything we love about our town on there. Our friends, the ice cream shop, our park." They spread out newspapers, markers, and glue across the dining table, each item a piece of their dreams unfolding.
As they cut and pasted, Jane felt lighter, more alive. "What's the first thing you want to put on the board?" Jane asked, her voice steady. Mia held up a picture she had found of kids playing soccer. "This! Everyone should get to play, right?" A warmth washed over Jane, a reminder that the essence of her vision was rooted in inclusion, joy, and community spirit. "Exactly! And what about some fun events for families? We could do a picnic or a festival." "Yes, with balloons!" Mia shouted, leaping from her chair, her arms flailing in excitement. As they continued creating the board, Jane glanced up at the window, a soft breeze gently rustling the trees outside. It hit her then. It wasn't just about what projects came to life. It was about the power of connection, the relationships that would blossom from collaboration. She felt invigorated, compelled to act on her ideas regardless of the competitions lurking outside. Hours passed, and their vision board transformed into a vibrant explosion of drawings and cutouts. Each piece represented not just an idea, but also the bond she shared with Mia. As they tucked the board away, preparing to share it later with their neighbors, Jane made a decision. "I'm not going to let that article define me," she whispered, half to herself and half to Mia. "I'm going to reach out and create something meaningful. If Mr. Langston has the same ideas, maybe he wants to team up." "Yeah, like ice cream and sprinkles," Mia interjected, her innocent analogy landing perfectly. With renewed purpose, Jane activated her laptop. Every keystroke felt like a grounding weight anchoring her ambitions. She composed an email to Mr. Langston, pouring out her vision, her enthusiasm, and a yearning to collaborate. Her heart raced as she clicked send. Just then, a sudden ping echoed through the quiet of the house. The unmistakable sound sent a thrill racing down Jane's spine. A response already? Gingerly, she opened her inbox, every pulse of anticipation carrying with it a mix of hope and dread. When she saw the name Langston Enterprises, the room felt electric, but her excitement shifted to uncertainty. Could this moment swing the pendulum of her dreams, giving her the chance she desperately sought, or would it deliver yet another crushing blow? Jane held her breath and clicked open the message, her heart pounding. The words that followed could change everything, or reveal yet another layer to her struggle. Would she find the answer she needed, or something far more unexpected? The words on the screen were both reassuring and daunting all at once. Jane's breath caught in her throat. Mr. Langston had responded quickly, and she knew this was big. "Dear Jane," it began, "thank you for reaching out. I've read your email, and I must say, I find your vision inspiring. Community engagement is crucial, and I believe we could accomplish great things together." A wave of relief washed over her, but Jane wasn't out of the woods yet.
The message continued. "However, I need to clarify some details regarding our recent collaboration proposals. Perhaps we can discuss this further?" Her heart sank at the mention of clarification. What did he mean? Was he interested or just fulfilling a duty? A mix of excitement and fear swirled within her. "Mom!" Mia's voice interrupted her thoughts, snapping her back to the moment. She turned to find her daughter gazing at her, a crumpled piece of paper in hand and wide eyes full of curiosity. "What's it say?" Mia asked, bouncing on her toes, her curls swaying dramatically. Jane's fingers hovered over the keyboard as she bit her lip. "It's good, I think. Mr. Langston wants to collaborate." "Like for ice cream and sprinkles?" "More like for the whole town," she replied, her voice trembling with a hint of disbelief. She couldn't let herself get too hopeful yet. "Can I help? I want to be part of it," Mia pleaded, her innocence radiating a light that brightened the room. "Of course, we can brainstorm ideas together. But first, I should respond to him." Jane shaped her thoughts into a response, careful to reflect her enthusiasm, but also the seriousness of their intentions. Her fingers clacked rhythmically against the keys, crafting words designed to bridge the gap between fear and opportunity. Once finished, she sent the response, but now she could hardly sit still. "Do you want to walk to the park?" she asked Mia, the idea popping into her mind to relieve the tension. "Maybe we can think of ideas for our plans while we count the squirrels or watch the ducks." "Mom, yes, let's go," Mia squealed, dashing for her shoes. As they stepped into the sun-drenched sidewalk, the cool air nudged at Jane's nerves, washing away some of her anxiety. They walked hand in hand, the world around them humming with the sounds of laughter matching her own cracks of joy. "What if we have a family game day?" suggested Mia, her voice bright with childlike glee. "Or a petting zoo. Can we have one of those?" "Those sound amazing," Jane laughed, envisioning families bonding over hayrides and laughter, their communities stitched together tighter with every planned event. But as they reached the park, a thought gnawed at Jane. What if Mr. Langston had other motivations? She had to prepare herself for the conversations ahead. Could his interests align with hers, or would finances and power dynamics drown her dreams before they even began to lift? In the distance, she saw Mr. Langston's well-manicured lawn and sprawling estate. His world was one of privilege and power, a stark contrast to her own. Would he be open to her ideas or see them as naive? A flicker of doubt crossed her mind, but then Mia tugged on her hand, pointing towards a group of kids flying kites. Jane paused, her heart swelling. This was why they were fighting, to make moments like this more frequent for families like theirs. "Let's sketch out the ideas." "We'll make a list," Jane said, her level of determination raising with each word. She felt emboldened by the sight of pure happiness in the belief that they could build something beautiful together. "Okay, I want a unicorn balloon on our board," Mia exclaimed. Jane chuckled, her anxiety moments away from fizzing away entirely. "Unicorn balloons it is. Let's make magic happen." As they strolled through the vibrant park, Jane surprised herself. Maybe it was this act of dreaming that was the first step toward truly transforming both her life and her community. Would her dreams and Mr. Langston's ambitions intertwine for the good of everyone involved? But just as she considered the possibilities, her phone buzzed. With a glance, she caught sight of Mr. Langston's name yet again. A second message? The tension coiled back in her stomach. She hesitated, but she couldn't ignore it. What if this time the message shook everything she believed? Would it ignite her fears, or help kindle the fire of hope? With steady hands, she opened it, not knowing just how pivotal this moment would become. Jane felt her heart race as she read the new message. "I would like to set a meeting to discuss our ideas further. My team is impressed with the community outreach goals you've outlined. Let's make a plan together. How does tomorrow at 10 a.m. work for you?" The internal whirlwind of her thoughts dissipated into a single radiant beam of excitement. This was the opportunity she'd longed for, the chance to step fully into her vision for her community. A meeting with Mr. Langston? This was the moment she'd been waiting for. "Mom, what's wrong? You look like you just met a unicorn."
Mia's glee pulled Jane back from her thoughts. It's an exciting message, Jane replied, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. Mr. Langston wants to meet tomorrow to talk about our ideas. Yay! We can plan the Unicorn Balloon Festival, Mia cheered. And for the first time in weeks, Jane felt an unshakable sense of purpose enveloping her. As the sun dipped lower and painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Jane returned home filled with determination. No more doubts, no more letting fear dictate her actions. She would prepare her ideas well and step into that meeting ready to advocate for her vision, for her community. That night, she stayed up late, meticulously preparing her presentation, a vibrant patchwork of morale-boosting workshops, community games, and joyous events that would lift the townspeople. She felt alive as she crafted each slide and honed the message she would share. "Mom, when are you going to bed?" Mia asked sleepily, peeking into the room. "Soon, sweetheart. Just a little bit more work," Jane smiled, ruffling her daughter's hair. Seeing Mia, her unwavering support, fueled Jane's fire even more. The next morning dawned bright and promising. Jane dressed carefully, her heart racing with a mix of anticipation and nervousness.
She left home with a notebook under her arm, vibrant ideas bursting to life inside her. She was ready to seize her destiny. Arriving at the foundation, Jane found Mr. Langston waiting, his demeanor easygoing but serious. "Hello, Jane. I'm excited to hear what you've got in store for us. Shall we get started?" He motioned to a conference room that felt alive with potential. "Yes, thank you for this opportunity," Jane said, settling into her seat. With each turning page of her presentation, she could see Mr. Langston's interest peaked. She spoke of mentors pouring support into the community, businesses collaborating, smiles shared during events. As she unfolded her vision, she saw admiration in his eyes, a sensation that reignited the courage she'd almost lost. "Jane, I can see your heart in this," Mr. Langston said, leaning forward. "But I want to discuss funding and how we can sustain these projects long-term. A partnership like this requires investment, true commitment." Fears squeezed at her heart. "I understand. I'm ready to commit and work hard, but if we could ensure this initiative grows sustainably—" Mr. Langston interrupted. "I believe in this plan, and I can provide seed funding, but I need you to lead. Your passion is infectious, and that's what our community needs." Her heart soared. This was it. This was her chance to take the reins. "Absolutely. I will give it my all, and together we can transform our community into a place of hope and joy." They spent the next hour building upon Jane's initial ideas. Each suggestion, every question, was a brick laid down in the foundation of their partnership. As Jane and Mr. Langston pored over plans, blueprints began to form, an outreach program so expansive it would revive hopes, dreams, and grassroots connections. When the meeting ended, Jane walked out floating on air. She had carved a path for herself, her family, and an entire community. She couldn't wait to share the news with Mia and Danny. In the following weeks, the community outreach flourished, gatherings blossomed, and laughter filled the once quiet corners of the neighborhood. Families began coming together, wandering the park, playing games, and sharing ice cream beneath the sun. Jane had embraced her calling, and a wave of pride surged within her. On a beautiful evening, Jane stood at the park where it all began, watching Mia and Danny racing with their friends. Their laughter filled her heart, echoing the joy she'd fought for. She felt electric, her spirit intertwined with the life blooming around her. "Mom, we did it! We made it happen!" Mia shouted, the joy overflowing from her small frame. "Yes, we did, sweetheart. We're only just getting started," Jane replied, tears of joy pooling in her eyes. She glanced around, seeing families gathered, friendships renewed, the very community she had yearned to uplift. And there was Michael, standing off to the side, a proud smile on his face as he congratulated her with a nod. She felt a connection to him, a shared understanding of what it felt like to rise above challenges. In this moment, Jane realized it wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving together. Leaving behind the title of Barefoot and Broken, she understood the true essence of her journey, an empowering truth that no matter how difficult the climb, when we lift others alongside us, we shine brighter. "Let's keep building, keep believing," she declared, her voice ringing clear with conviction. With the sun setting behind them, Jane knew they had only begun their story. This journey was filled with hope, an inspiring reminder that kindness can change lives forever, not just hers, but an entire community. As laughter echoed around her, she raised her head high, ready for whatever came next. Together, they were unstoppable. If you felt inspired by Jane's journey, don't wait. The time is now to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that lift you up and transform your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these amazing stories of hope and resilience. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear your thoughts. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.